If you clicked on this video, I already know one thing about you. You're craving change, not just a new routine, an identity transformation. Let's be honest, so many of us are quietly walking through life feeling lost, confused, disconnected, misunderstood, conflicted, unhappy, and utterly depleted. And if I'm being real, that was me too. But what if I told you the secret to reinventing yourself has nothing to do with becoming someone new and everything to do with returning to who you've always been? I've spent over a decade making YouTube videos. I have launched, grown, and sold multiple successful businesses in my 35 years of life. I lost several pregnancies and birthed 2 beautiful children into this world after fertility doctors told me this would be impossible. And after all of that, I learned that every failure, every challenge, every mistake, and every loss pushed me to learn, to grow, and to reinvent myself to become the woman I am meant to be. To be able to sit here and share with you how these experiences have shaped me, to make you feel less alone and hopefully feel empowered by my personal journey. In this video, I'll share my exact playbook on how I reinvented myself through every season of my life so that you can start your own reinvention journey and finally start living the life you've always dreamed of. I want to take a moment to share my partner for today's video, Hefeng Jewelry. Last year, I made a conscious decision to only work with brands that align with my mission to empower and support other women and give them the tools and confidence to achieve their greatest potential in life. It was also important for me that these brands were sustainable, mission-driven, and had an important story to tell. Hefeng is a female-founded and owned jewelry brand that was created by a woman named Sun Hefeng, who herself has experienced several reinventions and pivots in her life, and has chosen to channel her story through her intricate and unique designs for her jewelry brand that she named after herself. She has won the attention and admiration of celebrities and fashion icons from all over the world, and has mastered the art of creating the highest quality silver pieces, blending intricate craftsmanship and modern techniques to bring her uniquely beautiful creations to life. She is an awarded and highly regarded Chinese designer who came from humble beginnings. Each of her pieces serve as a vessel for personal expression and connection. As someone who loves unique jewelry that tells a bold story, I couldn't wait to wear Sun's pieces. The Nebula collection instantly spoke to my soul. From the intentional use of shooting stars, the intertwining ribbons with intricate cuts of crystal in the shape of baguettes and radiant round cuts, layered, cascading, and crafted to create a fluid energy with every piece. From the exquisite details and the craftsmanship, Sun has truly created something unique and special. All of the pieces are set in solid 925 silver, which is a sentiment to our Chinese heritage. I also adore that one of my favorite pieces from this collection, the meteor ear cuff, does not require any ear piercings to be worn. A lot of these pieces are modular in their design, which allow you to create several different looks with just one piece, such as the Nebula ribbon studs and the Starlight studs. Sun's pieces truly resonate with my personal style uniform and my love for asymmetrical earring stacks. Her pieces fulfill my desire for self-expression through my everyday jewelry. And if her pieces resonate with you too, you can use the code on the screen here at checkout for a discount on the Hefeng website, which will be linked in the description of this video. Thank you, Hefeng, for supporting me in my mission to empower and support other women on their journey to becoming the greatest versions of themselves. Before I share my reinvention playbook with you, I need to share this powerful, thought-provoking note from Zana Keithley, because these words will literally change the way you think about yourself and your life. I think it's the perfect introduction to the 8 laws I am about to share with you. What are we doing here if we're not creating the most beautiful lives we can imagine for ourselves? What are we doing here if we're not pouring our whole hearts into the art of magical, messy, imperfect living? What are we doing here if we're not sharing our gifts, if we're not exploring our potential? What are we doing here if we're so worried about making mistakes that we don't even try? So please, make mistakes. Make so many mistakes. Explore the endless possibilities this world has to offer. Don't settle for a life that dulls the fire inside your heart. Don't say yes to something that slowly dims the flames burning inside you. Don't let your passions die away for the sake of just getting by. Don't let your hope wither. Don't let your light fade out. Don't accept a life only half lived. Can't you see these dreams you have, these visions you can't let go of, the unshakable feeling of something more? This is your calling, your rightful path. This is what you're here for. If these words shook your core like they did mine, this is the video you need to watch and rewatch to make your dreams a reality. Because at the end of the day, life is a game. And if you learn to master your mind, your emotions, and your intuition, you are setting yourself up to win. So if you're ready to stop living on autopilot, if you're ready to stop pouring from an empty cup, this next part is for you. I'm about to walk you through the 8 laws from my playbook that completely changed me and my life. These are the exact mindset shifts, lessons, and daily habits that helped me reinvent myself, and they can do the same for you. These are the 8 laws from my playbook on how to reinvent yourself and come home to who you really are. Law number 1, you must begin with a blank canvas. Unfortunately, you can't create a new life on top of an old one, especially if it has a weak foundation. So start by giving yourself permission to wipe the slate clean, to let go of the version of you that no longer feels true. In order to really understand who you are at your core, you have to understand why you are the way you are. What lights the fire within you? What doesn't? What are your triggers? More importantly, why do they trigger you? Who and what brings out the best in you? Who and what brings out the worst in you? What are the generational traumas you've absorbed? How did your childhood affect your life and your decisions? These are all very complex but necessary questions you need to ask yourself in order to start over again. And your answers will be deeply personal to your own experiences in life. I know it sounds overwhelming, so I'm going to hold your hand and recommend a book that literally changed me and the trajectory of my life and helped me make this pivot. It's called A Radical Awakening by Dr. Shefali, and it truly was the catalyst for everything I have in my life right now. It made me understand why I am the way that I am. It made me more self-aware of myself and others. It made me want to realign myself and my life with the things that brought me real joy. It broke me into a million little pieces so that I could start over again. I honestly believe that if it were not for this book, my life today would look completely different. So please don't sleep on this. Read this book or listen to it on Audible. I will link it below because it will change your life if you open up your mind to it and are willing to do the hard work of radical honesty with yourself. Once you break down the walls that are holding you back from reaching your greatest potential, everything else will be a lot clearer to you. You will know just by looking at your surroundings through a new lens and perspective on life of what still serves you and what doesn't. It's going to be one of the hardest things you will ever do, but also one of the most transformative and liberating transitions of your life. When you start fresh with your mind, with your space, with your heart, you can get hyper focused on the things that will help you get to the woman you want to become. This is why I purged my closet and most of my possessions, and even a lot of the relationships I had that were holding me back in some way or another. You don't have to do a deep cleanse right away. You just have to start small. So pick a drawer, a shelf, a folder on your computer, delete old notes, clothes, apps, or commitments that don't align with your future self. Do whatever feels doable at the start. And then once you feel the benefits of letting go of the things that no longer serve you or align with the woman you want to be, the momentum will propel you to keep going. When you clear space, you create room for growth. Your environment starts reflecting the woman you're becoming, not the one you've outgrown. Law number 2, you must shed the dead weight. Here's something I learned the hard way. Not everything deserves your focus and attention. So ask yourself, what and who is draining me right now. Maybe it's endless scrolling on social media. Maybe it's that one person whose energy always feels heavy. Maybe it's your overwhelming to-do list that leaves no space for peace. Maybe it's saying yes to things you secretly want to say no to. Whatever it is, get really intentional about what is weighing you down from getting to where you want to go. Simplify your life. Keep only the people and things that support your growth and align with the woman you are becoming. Everything else is a dead weight, so shed it. If you don't know where to begin, I'm going to get you started. Here are some action steps you can take right now. Turn off notifications on your phone for a day, and then notice how much calmer your mind feels. A regulated nervous system will allow you to make better decisions and focus on the goals that will bring you closer to your higher self. Try a digital detox on a regular basis. I have personally been doing this on weekends for the last few years, and recently I've been doing it more often on random days when I just feel overwhelmed like today. And it's honestly one of the best things I have done for my mental health. As someone who also uses social media as part of their work, releasing any obligations and pressure from myself to constantly post and be on made me a much happier person. Create a non-negotiable list. 3 things you'll always want to protect are your peace, your health, and your time. These 3 things are your most valuable resources for winning the game of life. Make sure you are always pouring into these 3 things if you want to keep nurturing your personal growth. For me, my non-negotiables are fully disconnecting every day when I'm with my family so I can be fully present, playing tennis at least once a week, even though that hasn't been happening lately because it really quiets my mind, and doing something physically active every day, such as walking or strength training to calm my body and mind and also improve my health. Eating nutritious and wholesome foods that nourish and fuel my body to sustain my energy throughout my busy days, and carving out sacred time to work on my business without interruptions. So anything that doesn't fit into your non-negotiable list or feels like it's weighing you down must be shed. It's that simple. And to clarify, simplicity isn't about having less, it's about making space for what matters the most and will bring you closer to living your dream life. Law number 3, you must reconnect with yourself. Reinvention isn't about becoming someone new. It's about understanding who you really are at your core. It's about finally removing the mask you have been walking around with your whole life and feeling at peace in your own skin. We spend so much time getting to know other people that we forget to check in with ourselves. So make space for solitude, real, quiet, uninterrupted alone time. Schedule a lunch date with yourself. Take yourself out for a walk, solo. Go on a trip for a few days or an overnight staycation by yourself. It is so important to carve out time by yourself, to be by yourself on a regular basis, because this is the time where you get to give yourself the undivided attention and energy to better understanding who you are and what you want from this life. I can't stress enough how important it is to dedicate time to reconnecting with yourself regularly. As a mom of 2 little ones, I know how hard this is, and trust me, I had my daughter at home with me until the age of 4 and my son until age 3, and only very recently have both of my kids started going to school every day, which makes carving out time for myself a little easier, but I still found ways to do it even with them being home, because I realized how important this was, not only for me, but for them too. Because if I didn't take time to make sure I was okay, everything else crumbled to the ground. I know now that I need to take care of my needs in order to feel like my cup is full. And when my cup is full, I can pour generously from it into theirs. And now that my kids are both in school, I have made it a ritual every Wednesday morning to do something to reconnect with myself. Sometimes it's a quiet coffee date with myself where I'll bring a book or journal. Sometimes Sometimes it's a hitting session with one of my tennis friends or my husband to recenter my mind. Sometimes it's a lunch date with myself where I intentionally take the time to slow down, not rush enjoying my food, and turn off all of my tech for a few hours to sit in stillness and silence. And in that silence, I take the opportunity to ask myself all of the hard questions I never have time for, like, what truly makes me happy? What have I outgrown? What do I want to accomplish? What am I afraid to admit to myself? What are the fears that are holding me back and why? So here are some action steps that you can take now. Start a daily journaling practice, even 5 minutes a day. Just write down what's on your heart, not just your to-do list. Get very clear on how you're feeling. Go for a walk without headphones. Let your thoughts breathe. Meditate, even if it's just for 3 minutes. It's not about emptying your mind, it's about listening to it. And the more time you spend with yourself, the more honest you become with yourself. Law number 4, you must heal to evolve. You can't move forward with holding on to pain. But in order to understand what pain you're holding on to, you need to first become hyper aware of your sense of self and the childhood traumas you have been suppressing for all of these years. Some of you will hear this and deny you have any childhood traumas at all and call me crazy. But we all have traumas. Most of them are likely minor, but some of them are major. And the major ones are usually the ones that have shaped the person you are right now in this moment. Here are some examples of minor traumas that many of us likely experienced as children. Our parents judging us for doing something bad or making a mistake. Our parents disapproving of certain decisions we've made. Our parents taking out their anger and frustration on us when they've had a bad day. Our parents critiquing our appearance or features in some way. These are all examples of actions and behaviors we've experienced in childhood from the people who are supposed to love us the most, unconditionally, without expectations. And when we feel like this love is conditional, we feel unsafe, misunderstood, and even unlovable. It's not your fault, it's the way you have been groomed. But it's also not your parents' fault either, because this is likely how they've been brought up too. Let's take a look at some examples of major traumas many of us likely experienced as children. Our parents screaming and arguing with one another in front of you regularly, especially without repairing with you afterwards. Our parents abusing us in some way, whether emotional or physical. Our parents abandoning us without an explanation or repair. These are all examples of actions and behaviors some of us may have experienced in childhood from our parents that shaped us into who we are today. And sadly, the traumas become even more painful to deal with if you've experienced further traumas in adulthood, such as experiencing a miscarriage, losing a loved one in a traumatic way, or losing everything you've ever had in a natural disaster. Whatever your story, we all have traumas, big and small, that we all have to face at some point or another and heal from. Sadly, a lot of us live most of our lives suppressing these traumas instead of healing, learning, and growing from them. It takes radical honesty and self-reflection to really understand how deep these wounds have affected your life and the choices you have made. Little by little, with understanding and facing your inner demons, you can begin to heal and repair, but it is a long journey that can only be overcome with compassion, forgiveness, and realignment. I've had to heal from old traumas many times in my life, so I know the feeling of pain and discomfort all too well. But let me tell you this, the more you get acclimated to healing yourself, the more resilient you become. You expand, you grow, you learn, and you become a higher version of yourself every time you practice healing. Here is what I do to help me overcome my traumas and heal. One of the things I do is I put it on record. When I was going through my infertility journey and experiencing loss after loss, I felt this overwhelming need to release all of these feelings, thoughts, and emotions that I was suppressing for so long after I finally reached my breaking point. So I recorded myself in my car, raw, vulnerable, fully transparent, and just talked about what I had been going through, and I just let it all out. I didn't know what I was going to do with that footage later, but I already felt lighter after getting it out, and that was the first step in my healing process. 2 months later, I got pregnant naturally with my rainbow baby, and that video that I later decided to publish on YouTube is still helping so many women feel like they are not alone in this. Write a letter. I recently had a very heartbreaking and stressful experience within my family that has been an ongoing thing for over a year. It was weighing so heavy on my heart. I couldn't sleep at night. I started having true symptoms of anxiety. And no matter how many times I tried to repair things, nothing worked. And so I decided to pour all of my thoughts and feelings into a letter to myself, to put everything into writing to help me process my emotions. And it was so cathartic. I realized in that moment that I needed to let go. It was a situation that was beyond my control and not capable of repair. It was negatively affecting my mental health and well-being, so I let it all go. And that's when I finally started to heal. I think most people make the mistake of thinking that healing requires external factors to perfectly align a certain way, but those things are never in your control. Only you have control over your own healing, and when you make that realization, the power is in your hands. Identify your triggers. When you feel angry, insecure, or hurt, pause and ask yourself, what is this emotion trying to teach me? What most people don't realize is that triggers are our mirrors. They tell us what we are scared to face in ourselves. Maybe it's an unfinished version of ourselves. Maybe it's a goal we have. Whatever it is, you need to understand that triggers are really signs that you need to dig deeper to understand why you are experiencing certain feelings in that moment of being triggered. Once you understand, you can take the necessary steps to work on yourself and keep yourself in check whenever you face a trigger. Talk it out. Therapy, journaling, voice notes, whatever feels safe for you. After going through multiple pregnancy losses, I realized that talking about it and sharing my story with whoever was willing to listen was so cathartic for me. The first few times I talked about it, I'm not gonna lie, I was an emotional mess. But when I kept pushing through the discomfort, I noticed it got easier and easier to talk about, especially when I connected with other women who had similar stories. We often think that we are alone in a lot of the experiences we have in life, but the truth is, the struggles we experience are so common and so normal. We have just become accustomed to not talking about it out of fear or shame or judgment. So don't ever let that hold you back. There is nothing shameful about your story, whatever it is. And the right people will create a safe space for you to release without judgment. Healing is messy, but it's also the bridge to freedom. When you start facing your wounds and trauma straight on, you stop letting them control you and put the power back in your hands. Law number 5, you must be delusional about your goals. After you start from a clean slate, work on healing your traumas and reconnect with yourself through the self-discovery journey, you are ready to start dreaming, start envisioning, evolving, start setting goals for your dream life. And in this next phase, I want you to completely unleash yourself, be completely and utterly delusional with your goals and your dreams. If your goals don't scare you, they're not big enough. And don't just think about them, write them down. Release your thoughts from your head and put pen to paper. Make them real. Because the only way your thoughts can become goals are when you allow them to leave your head and land on paper. So grab a notebook, nothing fancy, and write down what it is you really want from this one life you have to live. Who do you want to be 6 months from now? What kind of energy do you want to bring into a room? What kind of a mom, a partner, a friend, a woman do you want to show up as? Here's how you can make this process more digestible. Create 3 simple goals you want to achieve within the next 90 days. Make them measurable but flexible. For example, if you have a fitness goal, be specific. Don't just say, I want to lose fat and gain muscle. Instead, say, I want to lose 5 pounds of fat and gain 10 pounds of muscle. To achieve this, I will start strength training for 20 minutes, 3 times a week, increase my protein intake to 30 grams of lean protein per meal a day, and eliminate my consumption of sugary and ultra-processed foods. This is a realistic goal, but more specifically, it's specific. You have a plan, a mission, and a deadline to achieve it. Now, all you have to do is show up, no excuses. Break up big dreams into bite-sized milestones. Each one should feel achievable in a week. If you have a goal that feels overwhelming, for example, launching a business, break it down into small, manageable actions that you can take right now. I personally have never met a goal so big it couldn't be broken down into smaller parts. So do that. Break it down as small as you can and make a priority list of the things you can do today. Every day, I make myself a priority list of the top 3 things I need to get done that day to push the needle forward on my goals. If I can get those top 3 things done, everything else I accomplish after that is a bonus. This way, I keep myself accountable, focused, and keep progressing towards achieving my delusional goals. Every night, write down one thing you're proud of and one thing you'll do better tomorrow. I have been an entrepreneur for most of my life at this point, and one thing I have learned is to always celebrate the small wins and navigate life with gratitude and an abundant mindset. Shifting your mindset from scarcity to abundance will truly help you to unlock your greatest potential. Once you start moving through life from a place of confidence and openness to learn through making mistakes and failures, you will be unstoppable. If you tell yourself that mistakes and failures are a blessing instead of a setback, you've already won the game of life. To sum up this law, dream big and make sure your goals are delusional. It's always better to conquer a small part of a delusional goal than a big part of a mediocre goal. The delusional goal will teach you more about yourself and what you're made of and push you outside of your comfort zone than the mediocre one. The mediocre goal is comfortable and easy. The delusional one will force you to grow and start living your dream life. Law number 6, you must align your habits with your future self. Now that you have your delusional goals written out, the next step is aligning your habits with your future self. And this part is crucial to your success because if you don't align your habits with your goals, the likelihood of you achieving those goals is close to 0. So you need to ask yourself, what does a person who wants to achieve X do every day to get closer to this goal? Write it all out and start embodying her. Create a system of daily habits that you do every day that will compound over time to get you closer and closer to achieving your goals and becoming the greatest version of yourself. I'll use myself as an example in this case. I knew a few years ago that I wanted to start my own baby brand. I had no idea what that looked like or where to start, but I started where I knew I could create a foundation from. And so I started sketching. I poured my vision onto paper and dreamt about it endlessly. This vision and idea forced me to research deeply into what it takes to create a baby brand, and I started to take notes of everything I needed to do to get started. I started doing the things that a founder of a successful baby brand would do every day. I got to know all of my competitors inside and out, all of their pain points and all of their shortcomings. I learned about all of the laws and regulations for my product sector until I knew it like the back of my hand. I created systems that would allow me to bring my vision to life and partnered with only the best suppliers and manufacturers from all over the world. Every day I would wake up, take note of my top 3 priorities for the day before I even got out of bed. And even with one of my kids still being at home with me, I managed to get these 3 things done almost every single day while he was napping for 2 to 3 hours in the afternoon. And that's the key. Everyone's life will look different. Before my son started preschool just a couple of weeks ago, I only had maybe 3 hours of my undivided attention to work on my business every day if I was lucky. And I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but when you are so clear and focused on what you need to get done in a very short window of time, It lights a fire under your you-know-what to make sure that you get those things done. And I'm gonna be honest, some days I couldn't get everything done because if you're a mom, you know how unpredictable your time and your schedule is. It truly does revolve around your child. And if I'm really honest, I did beat myself up about it sometimes. Some days feel so heavy, you're exhausted, you're depleted, but I realized that the sooner you pick yourself up and start showing up again, that consistency eventually pays off. But now that I look back on how far I've come since this idea was just a sketch on a piece of paper, I am so proud of myself. And little by little, I figured out my way through my mistakes and my failures and my wins too. The key is not to let setbacks hold you down for too long. Learn from the mistakes, iterate quickly, and keep going. Never stop. And don't be afraid to ask questions. Starting a baby brand with no experience in this space, even as a seasoned entrepreneur, was one of the most humbling experiences of my life. But one thing I've learned is never be afraid to ask questions or ask for help. Set your ego aside and go all in. Learn everything you need to know about the goal you want to achieve. You need to be obsessed with it. Otherwise, it just won't work. And trust me, once you overcome the little hurdles, you will start overcoming the big ones too. And this builds your confidence. And when you have this experience under your belt, you start to realize that everything, and I mean everything, is figure-outable. To summarize this law, make sure you align your habits with your future self. You won't wake up one day magically transformed. You'll become her one small choice and one small habit at a time. Law number 7, you must surround yourself with what expands you. You need to understand that you have 2 very precious resources in your life that once you spend them, they are gone forever. There is no way to get them back. These 2 resources are your time and your energy. And once you become a parent, these resources become even more precious and sacred. So if you want to achieve big goals and dreams for yourself, you must guard these 2 resources with your life and only surround yourself with the people and things that expand you and bring you closer to achieving your dream life. Everything you consume, from the books you read, the shows you watch, the food you eat, the company you keep, everything in your life is either draining your 2 resources or they are expanding you. If they are expanding you, they are a good investment of those 2 resources because you are receiving a positive return from the time and energy you spent on them. So be very mindful of who and what you give these resources to, and make it a habit to constantly cleanse your life of anything that drains them. Here are some action steps you can take right now. Audit your circle. Ask yourself, who inspires me and who drains me? And only surround yourself with people who support you unconditionally, who lift you up, who are genuinely happy for you, who are there for you when you are down. Your inner circle has a big impact on your quality of life and the goals you set for yourself. So be really mindful of this. Spend more time with the people who are doing the inner work too, because growth becomes easier when you're around people who value it just as much as you do. Read books or listen to audiobooks and podcasts that will help you reframe your mind and your thinking to help you achieve your goals. One book I read and reread recently is Diary of a CEO by Stephen Bartlett, and if I'm being honest, this book is like my Bible. So much so that it inspired me to use a similar framing on my last 2 videos to deliver my messages more clearly and effectively. If you are serious about achieving your greatest potential in life and in business, you have to read this book. I've also listened to the Audible title, and it's truly such a well-written book with actionable steps, real-life examples, and advice to live your best life. Law number 8, commit to the process all the way. After you start fresh, start healing and rediscovering yourself, set your goals and intentions, create habit systems to help you achieve your delusional goals, you need to do one more crucial thing that will take you to the end. You must commit. commit, commit, commit. If you don't commit to the process and take it all the way, your dreams and goals will be just that. Every founder I've ever met that's made it, and every business I have ever seen succeed with my own eyes had this one thing in common: commitment to the very end. There's no secret sauce. There's no magic. It's simply an unstoppable obsession and desire to make your dreams a reality and never stopping until it comes true. And in my personal experience, the only way to truly feel this way about anything in life is to know that you are doing something that feels like it is your calling, like it is your obligation to make this dream of yours a reality, and no one else in the world can do this but you. When you feel this way about something that aligns so viscerally with who you are at your core, please promise me you will follow this calling to no end, because you and me were put on this earth for a reason. We all have our own gifts and stories we are meant to share with the world. So please don't let useless distractions and external expectations cause you to lose your magic. Promise me that once you rediscover her, you will never stop until you become the greatest version of yourself. Reinvention isn't about starting over. It's about starting true. It's about choosing alignment over approval, peace over performance, and growth over comfort. You already have everything you need to create your dream life. You just have to quiet the noise long enough to hear yourself again. Last year, I made a promise to myself. No more autopilot living. No more pouring from an empty cup. No more chasing someone else's definition of success. As a mom of 2 little ones and a founder, I needed a reality check because I realized something powerful. I was spending my most precious resources, my time and my energy, on things that were holding me back from becoming the greatest version of myself. And I know I'm not alone, but here's the good news. You don't have to stay there. If you're brave enough to open up your heart and willing enough to challenge everything you've been taught about success and your happiness, you can reinvent your life too. You can find your way back home to yourself. I learned this the hard way, but you don't have to. I'm going to ask you to do one more thing for me. If you feel like this video empowered you, please subscribe to this channel. It allows me to continue supporting others in becoming the best version of themselves and spreading this message. Thank you for being here. I am beyond grateful to have you be a part of this journey.